Hello and welcome to another week of math tutorial. This week we are going to be adding and subtracting using the standard algorithm. Now, you may be wondering, what is the standard algorithm? Believe it or not, it is something that you have seen and that you are pretty comfortable with, even though the name is not common. So the standard algorithm is really just the way in which we line up our numbers when we are adding and subtracting. So here, for example, we see 475 plus 139 written horizontally, right, or across. We don't want to just write an answer next to that, or 738 minus 459. So what we want to do is make sure that we line our numbers up by place value. So this is exactly what the standard algorithm of addition and of subtraction means. We want to make sure that the digits in the one place are in that space, in the tens place, and so on and so forth. Now, let's look at an example of exactly how we should work out an addition problem using the standard algorithm. So here we have 47,584 plus 18,247. We always want to start with the ones place. So here we have 4 plus 7. That gives us 11. 1, we're going to write just one digit in one space. We're not writing 11, right, in the ones place. We are going to regroup and bring that 1 in the tens place to the tens place. So now we have 1 plus 8 plus 4. That gives us 13. So here's 3. Again, we're not writing 13 in that one space. We're going to write a 3 and regroup. We now have 1 plus 5 plus 2. That gives us 8. And then in the thousands place, we have to add 7 and 8. That gives us 15. So we're going to write a 5. And we are regrouping one last time. So 1 plus 4 plus 1, that gives us 6. So our answer here is 65,831. This is our answer, but a more math way to say it is our sum. So the sum is the answer to an addition problem. Sum. Now let us look at another example. This time we're going to look at a problem where we're subtracting. So our number here is 6,345 minus 2,491. Or we can say we're taking away 2,491 from the larger number, from 6,345. As we did before, we're going to start with the ones place. So 4 minus 1 is 4. 5 minus 1 is 4. So here's 4 in the ones place. And now we have 4 minus 9. We cannot take a larger number away from a smaller number. So we cannot, right? We can't take 9 away from 4. And we can't do this. We must not do this. Flipping our numbers here, even though it's ideal, even though it's easy, even though it makes sense, this is something that we cannot do. So in this case, we have to regroup. So this is no longer a 4, it becomes a 14. So now we can take 9 away from 14. Once we do that, we're left with 5. And this digit 3 in the hundreds place is no longer a 3. Remember that we regrouped, so we took 1 away from it, 100. We brought it over to the tens place. So this is now 12. So now we can take 4 away from 12. And we're left with 8. And again, one more time, we mustn't forget, which is why it's important to show our work. This is no longer a 6. It's really a 5 because we had to regroup to bring it over to the hundreds place to make that problem make sense. So now we have 5 minus 2. That gives us 3. So the answer in this case, or the more mathematical or the more correct way to talk about this 3,854 is to call this the difference. So difference. Okay. Now, we must always check our work. And in order to do this, here are some tips that you can use and remind your child to use. So rounding and estimating, so using those skills from last week is going to help us in this case. That's asking ourselves, does my answer make sense? Is this answer reasonable? We can also check using the inverse operation. So let's start with our addition problem that we worked on earlier. We got 65,831. We want to see if this number makes sense with the problem given. So we're going to do this by rounding. Since there are 5 digits here, we're going to round to the 10,000s place, even though it would work with rounding to a different place value. But to keep it easier for ourselves, 5 digits, so let's think 10,000s. So 47,584 rounds to 50,000. This is to the nearest 10,000. And 18,247 to the nearest 10,000 rounds to 20,000. So when we add these rounded numbers, what we get is, let me write the addition symbol here. What we get is 70,000. $70,000 is the rounded answer to the nearest 10,000. So 65,831, our sum to the nearest 10,000 rounds to 70,000. So this is how we know that the work that we have done here is correct. When we are subtracting, a way that we can check this, and I highly recommend that your child uses the inverse operation to check his or her work. What we have to do in this case is take our difference, right? So the answer to that subtraction problem, and we're going to add it to the smaller of the 2 numbers in our original problem. So in this case, 2,491 is what we're going to add to our difference. What we want here, we're using, right, the inverse operation. So addition is the inverse of subtraction. We're going to line our numbers up correctly. And what we want is to make sure that the numbers match. All 3 numbers in this original problem appear in our work that we show. So 5 plus 9 gives us 14. So here's 4. We're going to regroup. Now we have 1 plus 8 plus 4, and that gives us 13. Regrouping one more time. 1 plus 3 plus 2 gives us 6. So this sum in this case matches with the larger number in the original problem. 3,854 was our difference. And then the numbers in the middle match. So this is how we know that the work that we have done here is correct. So just before we disconnect here are some tips, or here are some tools or reminders that you can go over with your kid so that they are successful when it comes to adding and subtracting using the standard algorithm. Make sure that your numbers are lined up vertically, meaning up and down, and that each digit takes up one space. Always start with the ones place. Do not flip numbers just to make them convenient or easier for you. Show your work in all steps. Don't forget to regroup whenever necessary. And finally, to check your work, use rounding and estimating or the inverse operation to check and double check your answer. Again, if you have any trouble or difficulty, do reach out to your child's teacher, and we look forward to an awesome week. See you on the next video.